Hi, so we're here representing the Aquor team, and first I'd like to apologise if there's any incorrect formatting within your report, and if we need to clarify anything, we can answer that at the end of the presentation. So my name is Sherry, and I run an organisation where we set up social enterprises both in the UK and across the world, and I'm currently studying also a Masters in Corporate Social Responsibility.
My name's John. I'm studying Masters in Mechanical Engineering at the minute, and I have extensive research within the industry.
Hi, my name's Dan. I'm a Director for International Enterprise for a Social Enterprise Programme, and I studied a Masters in CSR.
So as I said, we're from the United Kingdom and we attend a university called the University of Nottingham. We have extensive experience within social enterprise, and we currently run social enterprises within the UK, Malawi, Ghana, Nigeria, and also other countries which we're also developing solutions. We're here today with a very simple product and a very simple business model, and therefore we're requesting an investment of $100,000. Our journey began about a year ago when we went to Cameroon and tried to experience the climate for which underdeveloped countries have access to water. So our approach is tailored towards the solution. Our solution is tailored towards the on-the-ground environment. As you can see in this video, which I think is going to. No, the video's not playing. The village has access to a river stream, and they collect their water from a river. We tested this water, and it's actually below the EU and UN biological and chemical standards, as you can probably see here. So we understood from the offset what experiences underdeveloped communities were having at, on the ground level, so that we could then go back and develop our solution.
So applying our project to a potential project implementation in India, we found that 175 million people across India don't have access to basic and clean water. In addition to this, 65% of the population have no access to basic sanitation. There's an extremely underdeveloped infrastructure throughout much of rural India. India has the highest proportion of low-income people in the world, with over 500 million people living on under $1.25 a day.
The yearly rainfall in India varies from 10 metres in the east to 1 metre in the west. This is obviously massively varying, which would affect our project implementation plan, so we can tailor it to the solution. The main issue with the water scarcity in rural communities is because the land is being tended to incorrectly, resulting in land runoff. This not only creates extreme flooding, but also results in farmers having to pump water from deeper and deeper within the ground. This is extremely unsustainable.
The agricultural industry makes up 16% of the Indian GDP. As John mentioned, one of the biggest problems is that farmers are having to pump water from deeper and deeper from the land. This increases their costs, making it a less profitable industry. The fall in profits has resulted in a large number of rural farmers migrating into urban communities. This not only puts pressure on the food security of India, but also means that in urban communities, there's a lot less jobs available. Within the education, there's a really lacking infrastructure around education in rural areas, especially around health and sanitation. Every year, 1.5 million children die due to diarrhea.
There's three main waterborne diseases that affect India. These are malaria, typhoid, and cholera. I'll now explain how our solution equips and empowers India to deal with these problems. Our biosander filter, as with the traditional sedimentary filters, is made up of layers, the most important of which is the bio layer. This is a layer at the top of the filter that deals with all the pathogens, viruses, and bacteria. It sits on top of the sand and deals with them. Alternatively, if the bacteria passes through the filter, the sand will trap it and reduce its nourishment value so that it dies and doesn't affect the final output. The water at the bottom of the filter then passes up through the pipe, which we'll explain in a second, and comes out so it can be stored and used later. In our filter, as Sherry has just passed to you, it's the 3D printed prototype. It's a scale model 1 to 5. It has a reservoir around the outside where it can be stored, and in our previous research trips, it was indicated to us that is a high need of the client.
Pass that around. I'm now going to talk you through our business model. So we aim to tailor our wages and our prices to each individual community. However, the prices that I'm about to talk you through are an average that's been taken across India. So first stage of the business model. Firstly, we construct a water kiosk that contains 3 biosand filters. This water kiosk is unique because it's environmentally friendly, and it's actually constructed out of waste plastic bottles that are locally sourced. This means this adds a extremely sustainable nature to the kiosk that we're building, reducing the CO2, but also making sure that the enterprise is as sustainable as possible. Secondly, to talk you through the cost, so we have the startup costs are $260.62. The breakup of that startup to start one scheme is the bottle house costs around about $58.32. For 3 filters to be housed inside of the kiosk, that is a total cost of $202. So that is the total startup cost. The revenue of the venture is $1,500 per year per kiosk. That is a total of 50 families purchasing a subscription of water of $2.50 per month. That is 1% compared to the same volume of water they would purchase in bottled water. So they, per one family, which is an average size family of 4, they will have access to 12 litres per day, which is above the EU recommendations. The cost of the enterprise per year is $769. This includes land rental at $240, wages at $450, a contingency pot at $25.56, mitigation at 10% of the profits at $53.44. This means our maintenance costs are 1.7% of our total revenue. I'm now going to talk you through our expansion. Our enterprise experiences exponential growth. So from the offset of an investment of $100,000, that means that we can set up from the profits a further 2 kiosks every month. In year 1, we have an expected total kiosk volume of 26 kiosks. Year 3, 55 kiosks. Year 5, 126 kiosks. And year 10, 1,230 kiosks. This is a growth of 157%. This means we've kept our values incredibly realistic because we want to show you what $100,000 can do to the business and actually show you the amount of kiosks and the impact that it can have. Projections, I'm going to talk you through our net profit. So in year 1, our net profit is $18,207. In year 2, it is $40,312. In year 4, it's $124,466. By the end of month 30, we'll have recouped the full investment of $100,000. Because our enterprise, we don't want to just create access to clean water. We want to create a whole solution for communities across India and across the world. So we actually apportion some of our profits to go into a community development pot. So we expect a minimum of 3 kiosks per community. So that means that we will actually put $548 into a community pot, which is aimed to develop infrastructure. 63% is put into flood and agricultural development. So we recognise that floods have a massive detriment to farmers across India. So what we're aiming to do is actually invest $349, which aims to reshape per year, which aims to reshape agricultural land. This means that when a flood occurs, we can actually direct water runoff and direct it to an underwater reservoir, which means that there is no issue of evaporation and the water can be stored and used during droughts. We then want to apportion 31.66% into education. So this is actually to provide education around sanitation and water issues, but we want to actually start to invest into local educational systems, into schools, to make sure that we're having a whole community development, because we believe that investment into business, agriculture, and into communities can start to raise whole economies up and create sustainable development. I'm now going to talk you through our impact of an investment of $100,000. So after 3 years, our impact would be 86 jobs created. We'll also be able to give access to 16,000 people access to clean water. We'd also expect a 20% increase in yields. As you can see here, we also have a total cumulative community pot of $30,799 and also a gross profit of $70,000.
Risk. There's obviously massive risks involved with this project. Well, the project in general, with any water-based project, as people are actually consuming the liquid. So I'm going to go through the 3 main risks that we believe the project entails, and the rest of them are listed in Appendix 3. The main risk is the accountability of health. It's obviously a main issue. To mitigate anyone getting ill or anyone becoming unwell from the project, what we're going to do is test the water every morning from every single biosand filter for typhoid, cholera, and malaria to make sure it's safe and clean for our clients. If the unfortunate event that one of them does get unwell, we will be able to stop filtering immediately and move, as we are very dispersed around the industry, move the water to make sure they still have the access to clean and safe water. The second problem is if the governmental permits are declined. We have set aside $10,000 in risk to make sure that if this happens, there's no harmful impact to the project pilot plan. This is to keep it on track and so we can reapply for those permits. Thirdly, if there's a lack of transport infrastructure within the community, obviously within lower demographics, there's going to be less roads available and transport in general for this water. So when we've set aside $15,000 of mitigation fund to make sure that if this does occur, we can either purchase a motor vehicle for our user or other means to make sure that it's not a problem for the business. Environmentally, the body of the filter will be moulded from HDPE plastic. It will also be roto-moulded. These are both highly understood and low carbon emissions construction techniques. We have constructed an LCA analysis of the product lifespan to make sure that we're not having a very large global greenhouse gas impact towards the project. I have a deep understanding of the processes involved through experience in the engineering industry, and to counteract our greenhouse gas emissions, as it is a large problem in the globe today, we will be using, as Sherry mentioned, 2,100 plastic bottles and 54,000 plastic bags in the construction of each of our kiosks. You may be thinking this is obviously a very large value, but on the average hotel in India throws out 5,000 plastic bottles per week. So we believe that sourcing these locally will not be an issue. At the end of a product's life cycle, with the filter, we will be shredding the HDPE plastic into small bits and then using that as an alternative to the plastic bags to make sure we, again, do not have a large CO2 output. These measurements ensure that our output per litre of water is negative 0.7 grams per litre. This is an industry-leading value, comparing to the UK's value of plus 0.72 grams per litre of water used.
So a crucial part of our project is implementing a pilot scheme. We're fully aware that in India there's significant cultural differences between India, Australia, the UK and other developed economies. So for that reason, we decided to put a 2-month research trip into our model. That 2-month research trip will cost a total of $13,000. That money is used in $6,000 to be used for employee expenses, where we'll have one employee based on the ground who'll be travelling around India to conduct market research and to complete a financial analysis of the feasibility of this project. The idea is to look at a number of different regions, a number of different communities, and work out where this project will be most viable. Additionally to this, we've apportioned $7,000, which will be used for legal expenses. You need to register the business and also conduct water testing. This is crucial in gaining a government permit. Every business that's selling water needs to have a government permit to ensure that unregulated water industries are not selling water within the communities and further detrimenting health. During month 3, we'll implement our first 3 filters. This will give us an opportunity to conduct a real in-depth assessment of the viability of the filters and to make any changes to our product. Upon a 4-month trial of 3 filters in different communities, we will then implement a further 6 in the communities that have adapted best to our filter. This ensures that we can get further data into how the filters are operating and how we should adapt it for further implementation. After a 12-month period, we'll start our Global Impact Initiative. During this period, we'll invest an initial amount of $10,000. This $10,000 allows us to build 16 kiosks. Within these costs, we've apportioned 6 months land rent and 6-month employee wages to ensure that our businesses are sustainable before we set them up. Additionally, we'll invest $25,000 into a redesign of our filter. This redesign will allow us to ensure that the filter is catered to the Indian market. There are a lot of cultural differences between India and other nations that we're working in, so we need to ensure that our product is fit for use there. As Sherry mentioned, our model is a self-scaling model. 60% of our revenue is used to grow the business. This allows us to build 12 new kiosks in the first year of operation out of our profits. In year 5, we'll be able to build an additional 47 kiosks. In year 10, we'll be able to build over 500 kiosks. This number means that in year 5 alone, we'll be able to give clean water to an additional 100,000 people. The total amount of kiosks running in year 10 are 1,320. This equates to 1,450 jobs and clean water to over 250,000 people. In addition to this, as we mentioned earlier, we don't just want to focus on water. Our community development pot will allow us to develop other industries. This community development pot will total over $200,000 by year 10.
Our technology and our business model is simple. We have extensive on-the-ground knowledge with these communities and appreciate that complex and expensive technology can be unsustainable and high risk. Our business model is completely tailored to the social and economic culture to ensure sustainable and scalable success.
What is unique about us is that we take this beyond the concept. We are actively working with disadvantaged individuals within a community in Cameroon to implement this solution within the next 12 months.
We understand that a large amount of investment has gone into this competition. However, due to the realistic nature of our enterprise and the current stage it is in, we can provide an overall worthwhile investment that directly translates to life transformation and development in a sustainable and scalable way. Thank you.